All right, guys, here I am. My name is Kara Bagley, and I am from Texas. I guess I should have said y'all. Not that you could tell by my accent, but I am from a small little town about 60 miles east of Dallas called Point. And I am here to talk to you about trim. I'm representing a company, Viva, which was formerly Tavala, and we are actually going through an acquisition right now. So we are in pre-launch, and which is exciting. So now I get to be part of two ground floor companies. So I thought I would take the time to talk to you guys about a product called Trim, whose main ingredient is now. And I do want to tell you, I am an RN by trade. I'm not giving medical advice. However, we will talk about some of the properties of PEA and how it affects you. But I do want to note that all the research is supported by other research. So feel free to research it yourself. But what we're going to talk about today, PEA, which is the main ingredient of our flagship product, Trim, which is targeted for weight loss, but provides so many other beneficial things to people of all ages. I mean, it's not targeted just for my age women or active men. I mean, it's just all age groups. So I hope that we're going to be able to touch on a little bit of all of that. So PEA is also better known with the scientific name of ethylamine. It is a derivative of amino acid, which most of y'all know what DNA is, which is just amino acids that make up the human body. And so this particular derivative is a neurotransmitter, which means it helps our nerves receive the chemical impulses and electronic impulses to trigger certain activities in our brain. So I have broken it down into basically different elements of PEA and different emotions and actions that it helps to trigger. And so I did want to give you a definition of, from my research. It says that PEA, it has unique and rapid uplifting mood, mental activity, attention, motivation, alertness, creativity, awareness, energy, stamina, physical activity, pleasurable feelings, sexuality, and sensory perceptions. So the first thing I wanted to touch on is how actually move to the next stage. The different chemicals that it affects in our brain. The first one is dopamine. Dopamine is responsible more or less for our sense of well-being. So a lot of people who do not respond appropriately to their dopamine levels suffer from depression. They can suffer from decreased learning ability, so kind of like your attention deficit disorders. Also, I have an interesting story later on my cousin. It can affect your sexual activity. I mean, as we get older, our libido decreases, we have no interest, we feel like we're ugly. Dopamine kind of affects that self-worth portion of your brain. Another good thing that PEA contributes to is the central nervous system to affect our epinephrine and our norepinephrine levels. So I'm sure most of y'all have heard of the fight or flight syndrome. So, you know, when an animal is cornered, you know, they are either going to stand up and fight or they're going to flight. And so you have these different reactions to these chemicals. For example, your heart rate may increase because it is getting ready to have this fight. Your energy level increases, your alertness increases, you're very well aware of your surroundings. And so what PEA does is it increases the absorption of that as well. And so how that translates into the benefits of trim is it produces the alertness. You're more awake. You're more motivated because you have all this energy. So as far as accompanying trim with weight loss, like you actually feel like working out. When's the last time you felt like working out? I mean, understand y'all are under some pretty bad weather. I mean, it was 75 here today and I still had to wear a jacket. Isn't that crazy? So different strokes for different folks, I guess. So, but basically the norepinephrine and epinephrine portion of this is going to give you energy and just to increase your alertness. And so, which is great when you're trying to lose weight. The other one that we briefly talked about was the dopamine, the neurotransmitter that makes you feel good, for lack of a better definition. You know, we get into this
change stations now.
This mood where we just don't feel good. We don't feel like we're pretty. We don't feel like we're doing enough for our spouse. You know, this helps with that. This kind of gives you that uplifting mood. There are people I know, for example, I'll start giving examples. One of my coworkers, she and her husband, they bickered a lot. I mean, they've been married for a long time. They work all day. They go home and, you know, we all have something we can complain about when we get home. But she said for the first time ever when she started trim, like she went home and had a normal conversation with her husband. And it was an enjoyable conversation. She laughed and, you know, she did not take trim for weight loss. She is thin as a rail, but it made such an impact on her mood and her just emotional state that's why she continued to take it. Let's see. So here's another, so talking about adrenaline. So adrenaline also kind of ties in with those two, norepinephrine and epinephrine that we talked about with the fight or flight. So adrenaline also, that's the other one that you're going to have what is called a physiological response to, which is an actual measurable response, heart rate increase, respiratory rate increase. It's kind of, they refer to PEA as like the body's natural amphetamine. And so I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with ADD, ADHD, maybe have children or young adults who suffer from that. And it is it's a true problem in these kids because their mind is just racing all the time. Like it's very difficult for them to focus. And so what this has helped with also is to kind of clear your mind, increase that focus, you know, help you set goals. I mean, we all have a reason why we want to try a weight loss product because we want to reach a goal, whether it's weight loss, whether it's to fit into your skinny jeans, whether it's to just feel sexy again, or whatever your reason is. We all have one. I know the example I referred to with my cousin, she suffered from an obsessive compulsive disorder, and hers was obsessive eating. So when she got into stressful situations, she would eat and eat and eat, and to the point of making herself sick. And so she visited a psychiatrist, got put on some medication for that, and it was actually medication for ADD, ADHD, because they realized that the neurotransmitters responsible for both of those responses are the same. And so she started trim a few months after I did, and she was able to get off that medication. She also suffers from clinical depression, and she has said that it has helped her with that as well. Now, she still has to be medicated for it, but it has definitely helped that as well.
Change stations now.
So another one that was brought up in this particular research study is called the runner's euphoric high. And I'm sure most of y'all, I mean, it's kind of why most of y'all go there. You know, you exercise and you work out and you fatigue your muscles, and then afterwards you just feel good. You know, it's runner's high. It's not, I mean, yes, you have, your blood's pumping and you feel good, but also, you know, a lot of it is in your brain where you just, your body knows that you've accomplished something. Your brain knows that you've accomplished something. And just emotionally, it makes you feel good. And so now they're thinking that people with higher levels of PA in their system are experiencing the so-called runner's high, but it's actually more related to your brain's response to physical activity. So the other, it's funny because when we talk about, you know, all these great things, or any medication for that matter, there are side effects.
10-second count.
And the funny part with PEA and TRIM is that weight loss and appetite suppression is a side effect. That's not even what it's for. It's just a perfect side effect.
Move to the next station and resume
And
exercise.
so basically, with a combination of all those different chemicals we talked about, dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, adrenaline, your metabolism increases. And so basically, that is increasing the internal body temperature. And so this is what is called a thermogenic fat burner. And so with all the responses that your body is having to this one single compound in TRIM, you are burning more calories. You're burning more calories just by taking it, but you're burning more calories with physical activity as well. So I know nobody's there to interact. I hope that I wasn't too over the top with trying to be explaining anatomy too much, but I do hope that you will try this little Tavala Trim, one little happy package of happiness, energy, and self-worth. Shauna has some available if you want to give it a try. I did include some directions on there. Don't be surprised once you take it, you will feel a noticeable onset when it starts. But I would love feedback for sure if she gives you a sample. My information is on the back.